I just want to say, Gareth, I love you. Everything you've done for me, the memories, your friendship over the years, it always meant so much to me. You're one of the most genuine friends, people I've ever met. I'm always going to miss you, but you're always going to be right here with me. And I know you're in a better place now and you're happy. And I'll be strong for you, my friend. And to all his friends, and his family, I want to wish you all the best. And take care of yourselves. Be strong. That's what Gareth would want. Take care. Keep thinking that Gareth would want me to keep creating. I want to keep creating. It's really hard to really think about creating something when you're dealing with losing your friend. But I know he'd want me to carry on and be better than ever. That's what I'm going to do. Out of his memory, I'm going to do more than I've ever done before. And I want to make him proud. That's the best I can do. That's all I can do. Gareth Davies used to do a podcast back in the old days in the early 2000s called Nervous Teeth. It was really funny, but also informative. They would take topics of the week, different things about what's going on in the news, and they would joke about it, but also have a serious discussion and question everything that was going on. And it was very fun to listen to, and it was very pioneering at the time. There wasn't many podcasts like that. And in fact, during those days, podcasting was very new. And I remember searching through iTunes one day while at work, just doing some stuff on my computer, wanted to hear something related to this, maybe some of the stuff they're talking about, alternate news, and they also liked music and stuff like that. So when I was searching through iTunes for those kinds of podcasts, Nervous Teeth popped up coincidentally, and I listened and I was hooked. And they would do this show weekly, and it evolved over the years, and eventually Gareth went on to do his own show called the Mindset Podcast, and I later became a host on that show, a co-host if you will, as part of the roundtable many years later. But well before that, when he was doing Nervous Teeth, he had a blog called Mindset Central, and he would write on there about various topics, about what's going on and every day, society, the news, conspiracies, UFOs, you name it, anything. But it was a serious blog, you know, and it wasn't meant to be anything that was making stuff up, or you get so much of that these days, that's for sure. But he was real about it, genuine. He was just trying to get to the truth of everything. And he inspired so many people, including myself, to think about everything in this world. What's going on? Why are you thinking certain ways? All these things. And we talk about movies, music, culture, all that stuff pertains to what's going on in modern society and in news as well. So it all kind of ties together. And each week we began doing this show called the Mindset Podcast, and it would dive into those sorts of topics. Now, sadly, around 2012 or so, Rod, his great friend, had passed away. They did so many podcasts together, and Gareth was devastated at the time. I remember he had stopped podcasting for a while after that, and I remember he had wanted to help Rod, because by that time him and Rod had stopped perhaps communicating and much less working together on the podcast, and they were trying to revamp their friendship, and they had plans to get back together, and it just didn't work out. And Gareth was just so devastated by it, but he kept on. He was strong. Another thing I admire about him, he was always persevering no matter what in life, no matter what challenge lay ahead of him, even till the end when he was fighting to stay alive I know he was trying his hardest. He said he'd be back, and I knew he'd be back, because that's how I felt. He's so strong. I never thought he'd be gone. He really isn't gone. He's still here. Sometimes it'd be very dark topics, and sometimes very lighthearted, but no matter what, during the shows, there was always a comedy aspect to it. It was funny to listen to because there was jokes, and it never got too serious. And on these roundtables, there was various guests, and everybody brought their own opinions, questions, thoughts to these subjects, and everybody had an equal platform to discuss how they felt about things. And people that listened to the show really liked that as well, because they could have an outlet to learn about these topics, or maybe think about things for themselves in a different way they never had before. That was always the goal, to get you thinking. Gareth was good about that, really good. And besides all that, it was the creativity behind everything that Gareth did that really inspired me. I mean, he was always podcasting, creating videos, making documentaries, short movies. I mean, he had so many dreams and aspirations to do all these different things and use various platforms to achieve that, and he did so much, and he had so much more he wanted to do. I know it. And it's sad that no longer with us. I want to just talk about everything that Gareth brought to the world in a positive way. He made such a difference. He made a difference with me. He helped push me creatively. Always told me to keep creating. Always put the best out there. Sorry. He always told me, if you gotta wait a month to make a video, wait a month. Just make sure no matter what you put out, it's really what you wanted to put out. Your heart and soul went into it. I took value to that. It helped me grow as a creator. And I did that with everything I still do. Everything I involved creatively, I try to bring my all to it, 110%. And I remember everything that Gareth would tell me. We'd have our discussions about all these dreams and things. And after a while, on the podcast, did several shows with him on there. And he eventually went on to do his own YouTube channel, Mindset Central, which was an expansion of that podcast. And it's incredible because he started bringing on all sorts of various guests from around the world like never before. And back in the early days of the Mindset Central podcast, at the round table, there were just several of us that was there every week. They're like family to me. And it was just incredible to see it evolve into what it became, and seeing all these different people on there, hearing their perspectives. It really was growing, and I was so proud of what Gareth was doing. He had a vision, and he always pushed himself to be productive and just keep at it. And I admire that about him, and he is loved by so many, including his family. He'll be missed by so many, but he'll never be forgotten. Now, I remember during the days of the Mindset podcast, he's way ahead of his time, because he had this idea. Let's start the Mindset Central Network. And he wanted, besides the Mindset podcast, the roundtable we did every week. And by the way, I met some really great people. I'm still friends with some of them on there. We've all kind of went our separate ways in a certain direction, maybe, perhaps. We all still talk, get together when we can. And but every week, I remember going on the round table, and it was just like, I felt like we would never stop this. I would be doing this until I was 90 years old. Because these people were like family to me. And it was just a place I can go every week, talk to them. And for those few hours we were on that podcast, it was an escape. And just really cool people. I'll never forget those times. And like I mentioned, Gareth, even though that sort of went a different direction, Gareth kept on with everything he was doing. And he had this idea back then to do a Mindset Central network, and all of us on the roundtable on the Sunday show contributed to this network. We all started doing different shows. I mean, you may recognize shows such as Paratalk he did with Reeves, and he also did that long before the Mindset Central network, just so you know, but he added that Paratalk to the network. There were so many other shows that he did. I did a Mindset Radio Hour, which featured indie bands, up-and-coming unsigned bands, and I wanted to do that because there was a really big music aspect to the shows, because Gareth was such a lover of music. He's really passionate about collecting music, listening to music, discovering new artists. So on this Mindset Radio Hour I did for his network, it was my goal to bring new artists to the show for people to listen to, and he was always astounded by all the different artists I would have on the podcast. And he was always like, these need to be the ones played on regular radio. And I agreed. That's why I would do the show, because mainstream radio wasn't playing these artists. And there were so many other shows. I did a show called Mindset Daily, and that was a really interesting one where I would come up with a show 2 to 3 times a week for Gareth, and it was just about the news topic of the day, and it mostly focused around technology, alternate technology, up-and-coming stuff that was coming out, and maybe perhaps questionable stuff. Like I remember doing reports on smart TVs and how they could hear everything you're talking about in your house way before this was commonplace, and now everybody accepts it as reality, but back in those times it was controversial, all these new technologies coming out. So this Mindset Daily was sort of about that, and it was just fun to get involved doing all these different productions. It took up a lot of time, but it was well worth it, because it was all in part to help Gareth grow his network, and we all did so much, and it really went a long way. And I remember working with Venarina, Reeves, Alex Fate, Ben Emlyn Jones, countless others on there. I'll never forget all the times we had together. I still think about them all the time, and even more so now, I suppose. Last time I talked to Gareth was just over a month ago, as of recording this now, and I was a guest on his Mindset YouTube channel. He had a show on there called Mindset Mornings, and it was a daily show. Like I mentioned, he was just working so hard, expanding everything, and it was a morning show he started doing, and had various guests on there. And I went on there one morning and just to reconnect with them, see what was going on with each other, and he wanted to talk about the wilderness areas I'm exploring. Have I seen any skunk apes, Bigfoot, anything out of the ordinary, stuff like that. And it's always fun to talk about that with him. And that's the last time I had spoke to him. And then he had continued on doing his streams every morning. I was keeping up with them, and then I remember seeing his last stream he had put up that he was feeling ill and wasn't doing so well. And then I had texted him, and I said, Gareth, are you doing okay? I didn't hear back at the time. This was a few weeks ago. And then I heard that unfortunately he was in the hospital, wasn't doing so well, and is no longer with us. So that's what I'm left with now, but I'm always going to have his memories with me. He'd love it where I'm at now today. No skunk apes out here today, Gareth. No strange sounds. Just nature. So peaceful though. Look at these views. This will calm your soul. Beautiful cypress swamps. Love these places. Like just watching the water flow through the swamps. Now, over the years, did he say a lot of controversial things, perhaps upset people through his various shows? Maybe he did. I can tell you one thing, he always meant well. He's a genuine person. He cared so much about everybody, his audience, his family, people around him. He truly cared. He was always just trying to educate people, get you to open your mind through his shows, and that was a way for him to express his creativity, if you will. And we all like to do that. We all have our opinions and the way we express ourselves, and Gareth just had a certain way of doing it, and he always just wanted to get you thinking, no matter what it took. So did it offend some people on his shows? Because I was a part of some of the shows, and maybe it did, but there was never any regrets because it was always in a well-intended manner. So I just want to say that because I feel that his work, looking back on everything he's done, is a legacy, something to be proud of, because he was a pioneer. He opened the door for so many people, various podcasters, creators, YouTubers, you name it. I mean, he's touched so many people. Beyond all that as well, in their personal lives. I know it. And my good friend Gareth, I know that he would want everybody to know this, that he cared about everybody and he loved everybody. We're going to miss you, buddy. You take care.